Alright guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today. For this one we are going to do another out and about video. So I'm still in Bamberg in Franconia in the northern part of Bavaria here in Germany, and we're going to check out this place behind me. This is Keesmann Bräu. So we are in the kind of sort of eastern, southeastern part of the centre of the city. We're on Bamberg, and this is where you'll find this brewery, and just over there is Mouthfeel as well. But these guys have a very, very nice beer that I really wanted to try. I've been to Bamberg a few times before, but I've never actually been inside a Keesmann because it's always been closed actually when I've been here. I think I've just come round here at the wrong times, of course. But yeah, let's go in and do as we always do. We'll try a few of the beers, we'll have a look at the menu, we'll have something to eat and have a little look around. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Really cool to be here at Keesmann Bräu on Wunderberg here in Bamberg. Let's get started. So yeah guys, just to let you see the outside of Keesmann Bräu here then. So as you can see, it's this lovely sort of sandstone building with these kind of green, what would you call them, shutters I guess. But yeah, it's right across from this big orange church. The river, the canal, is back this way, and yeah, you can't really miss this place. But just over here on the right, you also have Mouthfeel, which is another one of the famous Bamberg breweries. But yeah, so as you can see here, this is the sign. You always get these little signs hanging above the entrances, but this is your doorway. So let's go in and have a little look at Keesmann Bräu. So yeah, as you can see, here is the traditional window where if you would come after work, you would just order a beer here. You would just, stand around with your friends, drink a beer and go home. But yeah, this place is really nice. So this, of course, is their famous beer, the Herrenpils. And yeah, they've got their beers in the bottle up here that you can see. Well, so we'll need to see which ones they actually have today, but there is a certain one that I really, really want to try. There you can see some of the nice glassware and things like that, and it all looks very, very nice. So yeah, as you can see, if you come out here, I think this is maybe the back of the brewery. Yeah, you can see this is the kind of warehouse and stuff, so we're probably not meant to be out here, so we'll go back in. But yeah, let's go in to the restaurant and we'll have a little look and see what we can have. Let's have a look at some of these beers. Let's do this. I need to figure out which door this is now. This is the difficult thing. But yeah, we'll end with this little shot. There is the Schenke where you can order the beer. I'll go and find the entrance. Right guys, just so you know, it's the door next to the Schenke that is the entrance to the little restaurant pub type bit. So yeah, when you come in, you can see here, yeah, very typical Franconian room. Yeah, very, very nice. I really like it. But you can see above the bar here, they have a few of the old steins and things like this, some hop flowers as well, which is very cool. But yeah, really nice traditional little Franconian bar. But yeah, some of the deer heads and stuff like this, some really nice paintings and things like that. These guys want to wave. Hello. Yeah, Slange, there we go. Yeah. And yeah, just a really nice traditional Franconian room. I really like it. I've been sitting drinking my beers over here, but very cool. There we go. Alright guys, so time for our first tasting then here at Brauerei Keesmann. So yeah, the first beer that we're going for is arguably their most famous, most well-known, most popular beer, I guess we could say. So yeah, this one is the Bamberger Herrenpils. So yeah, this comes in, I believe, at 5% ABV. It doesn't actually say on the menu, and I forget what it is. I have had this beer before, and I have reviewed it on the channel for you. But this one, I can tell you straight away, this is a very, very nice beer. So I'm really happy to have this, from source at the brewery. This is, one of the best experiences you can have with Bamberg beer. So yeah, you can see it poured with maybe about a finger and a half of a frothy, I would say, kind of perfect white head. You can see it's got some really nice, small white bubbles there, but a few bigger ones on top. As you would expect from the Pilsner style, it's got a lovely kind of pale golden straw colour to it. One or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass. A few little ones going up toward the bottom there. But overall, it looks very nice. Yeah, so yeah, everything you'd expect from a Pilsner. Remember, this is a lager type beer, originates in the Czech Republic, but created by a German brewer, of course. So yeah, the main difference for me between the German Pilsners and the Czech Pilsens, the Czech Pilsens would be more kind of yeasty and bready, whereas the German Pilsners are a bit more kind of crisp and light and things like this. But in terms of appearance, of what you would expect from a Pilsner beer, nothing surprising about this one. So let's look at the aroma and see how we get on with this then. The Bamberg Herrenpils from Brauerei Keesmann. Let's look at this. Yeah, such a nice smelling beer, I have to say. It just smells absolutely lovely. Yeah, straight away with this one, you get that lovely little bit of soft kind of, you get a little bit of that soft white bready character underneath. At the back of the nose, you can smell that little bit of crispness that you expect from a Pilsner beer. But you've also got a wee bit of that kind of, you do get just a little bit of that nice kind of grainy bread crust underneath. The more that you smell of it too, the more you get a little bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. So yeah, I really like how this one, this goes together in terms of the malty base. Such a nice smelling beer, this one. I love a good Pilsner, and you know, I love Pilsner Urquell, you know, the original Pilsner. But if I lived in Germany, I think this would probably be a kind of go-to one. This is one that I wish was a little bit more readily available. It's just got a lovely blend of malts in it, and it's got that typical smoothness you expect. It just smells so nice, so inviting, everything you would want from a Pilsner. On the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of smooth earthiness in there. There's a wee bit of a kind of herbal character as well, but then you've got that nice, typical bright floral aromaticity, a little bit of a lighter grassy sort of thing as well. Yeah, it has a little bit of zestiness to it as well, which is really nice. But yeah, you can smell that lovely kind of bright Hallertau hop in this one. It's really a really nice, just bright smelling Pilsner beer, this one. On the fruity side of things, again, it's what you'd expect. There's a little bit of that sort of sultana, dry white green grapey sort of thing. Maybe a little bit of pear, very light touch of, like, you know, kind of dry pear, to be honest with you, and maybe just a little teeny bit of apricot, and maybe a wee bit of like a, you know, a bright apple, something like that. But the fruity side of the beer is kind of fresh, but also kind of quite dry. So yeah, I like how this one goes together. Actually, it smells very nice. As I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But let's have a look at this one then and see how we go. So yeah, this one is the Herrenpils, about 5% ABV. I forget the exact percentage, from Keesmann Bräu here in Bamberg. Slange, skål, cheers, prost. Yeah, this is really nice. Very smooth Pilsner actually. Just really easy drinking. Everything you would want from the style. Really glad I can get this one while I'm here in Bamberg. This is one of the breweries that I really wanted to check out. Yeah, just awesome. So with this beer then, it tastes kind of as you would expect. If you know the style, you know how it is in this region, and I have had this beer before as well, I should say that, which I think I did already. But yeah, backbone of the beer, middle third of the palate, there is a little bit of that nice kind of crisp, bread crusty sort of thing to it, which I really like. It gets a bit more grainy the further you go into the aftertaste. There's some soft, smooth, white bready notes to it as well. You've got a little bit of that kind of McVitie's digestive, biscuity sort of thing on top. For me, the bready character in this one is quite light, and the further back on the palate you go, the more kind of crisp character you get from the Pilsner malt in this one. So yeah, this one for me, as I say, a little bit grainy underneath, sort of wet but smooth white bread, and a little bit crisp on the back. The further you go into the aftertaste with it, I think you really get a nice little bit of sweetness to it. You've got a little bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuit sort of thing. Yeah, see, the dead centre of the palate, you can feel there is a wee bit of an oily, kind of concentrated, sweet, caramelly biscuit note, and as you move further out from that, it's a little bit more kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity like. So yeah, the malty base on this this one is nice. Let's focus on the hoppy side of the beer. So yeah, the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate, there is a little bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward, it's a wee bit herbal, and on the front corners of the palate you get a little bit of a bright, slightly spicy, floral aromatic note. It's really nice. I wonder if this has got a slightly stronger hop in it, like, you know, pearl or something like this. I don't know if this is just a straight up, you know, a Hallertau Mittelfrüh or something like this. It does feel a little bit more kind of spicy and bitter. It could just be a slightly higher IBU, of course, but round the front curve of the palate, again, a little bit lighter and grassy, a little bit zesty on that side of things too. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the hoppy side of the beer. On the fruity part, front third of your palate, yeah, front third of your palate, this one, the fruity notes are quite nice. You've got a little bit of that kind of sultana, dry white green grape note. As you come further forward, it gets a little bit more like an oily pear, but it also, well, a little bit of a dry pear actually. Then as you move towards the very front tip of the tongue, it's a wee bit more like an oily pear. And behind the very front tip of your palate, there's a wee bit of a kind of limey note, just mixed in with these kind of zesty, grassy esters. So yeah, the way that this goes together, I think, is really nice. This is a really, really solid Pilsner. I think it gets crisper the more that you drink of it, actually, which is really interesting. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the flavour of the beer. Let's look at the mouthfeel. Yeah, for me, really nice, just light beer, this one. Carbonation is nice and crisp, but at the same time it's quite smooth. It's got a bit of oily slickness to it, which I really like. In terms of IBUs, I think this beer is maybe, I think this one's about 30, maybe 35 IBUs. This does have a fair little bit of bitterness to it. The malty character is nice, a little bit bready, a little bit smooth, but then you've also got a wee bit of sweetness on top, and the fruity side of the beer is a little bit oily too. But yeah, the Herrenpils, the Bamberg Herrenpils, this is a lovely, lovely beer, and definitely one of the ones that you must try if you come here to Bamberg. So this is one of the breweries that I think you really, really need to check out. So really glad that I finally got around to being able to try the Herrenpils from source here in Bamberg. Let's go on to our next little bit then. We're going to have something to eat, and we'll probably try a couple of the other beers as well. So let's leave it at that for this one just now. The Herrenpils from Brauerei Keesmann. So yeah guys, it's always a little bit of a tradition to show you the beer mat that you'll get. So as you can see, the one here in Keesmann is the Herrenpils mat. So Edelherb, you can see the Herrenpils bottle. On the back it has this, and I'm not sure exactly what this is meant to be, but that's a little quick look at the beer mat for you. There you go. Alright guys, so let's go on to our second beer then here at Brauerei Keesmann. So yeah, the second beer that we're trying is the Keesmann Sternlager. So as you can see, this one is a little bit more of a kind of coppery colour. This is a little bit more along the lines of a Märzen in terms of its appearance. My food and the beer came right at the same time, so yeah, the head on this one did disappear a little bit, but when it poured it had like a solid 2-finger frothy, I would have said like kind of creamy, slightly fawn coloured head. But yeah, it's certainly to me, in terms of appearance, if I was just guessing, I would say that this beer looked a little bit like a kind of Märzen. But you can see lovely, very bright, sort of coppery colour to this one. Again, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the bottom of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there. But overall, it looks very, very nice. I do like how this beer goes together. You can see it is, I think there's a bit of condensation on the glass. You can see this beer is once again crystal clear, so it's probably filtered. But yeah, let's take a little look at the aroma of this one then and see how we go. Yeah, again, this is really nice. I mean, straight away, it's very, very bready in my opinion. So yeah, you've got this lovely kind of breadiness to it. A little bit of a kind of bread crusty backbone, some kind of wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. Yeah, aroma wise, it's really nice. So you've got that bread crust, a little bit of that more grainy brown bread. You've got some sweeter caramelly notes to it. But it's like a little bit of a toasty brown sugar you get with this one. So like a sweet oily caramel, a little bit of a kind of biscuity sort of thing as well. Yeah, you do get 1 or 2 little like woody and very slightly nutty undertones from this one. but the malty base on this beer is quite nice. It's difficult to place it. It does have certain, you know, the biscuity and kind of slightly brown sugary notes of the Märzen really come out in this. But yeah, I think it might just have a little more kind of slightly more sugary malts in it. But I've never tried. I have to say, I've never tried this one before. I think the only Keesmann beer that I've reviewed on the channel for you before was actually the was the Pils, the Keesmann Pils. So the Herren Pils, I should say, not just the Keesmann Pils, Herren Pils. So yeah, this will be quite interesting to try actually. But on the hoppy side of things, again, it's got a little bit of that smooth earthiness. You've got a little bit of herbal character in there. Also a wee bit of a brighter floral aromaticity, but also some nice kind of grassy zestiness as well. Yeah, I should say the green component in this beer is really quite smooth. I do like the kind of smoothness that you get out of this beer. Yeah, again, it just comes across as very smooth and very kind of bready lager beer, this one. I'm really curious to see what this is going to be like on the flavour. But yeah, the fruity side of things then, it has a little bit of that kind of, it definitely has a little bit of a, you know, it's got a little bit of that kind of dry peary note. This is a really peary smelling beer for me, so a nice kind of dry peary kind of quality. It also has, you know, yeah, it also, yeah, so a big kind of dry peary sort of thing. It also has, yeah, a little bit of that kind of sultana, white green grapey sort of note to it. You do get a little bit of a kind of, I do get a little bit of a kind of appley note out of this one too, but this is really more like about the kind of dry pear, the sultana, that kind of thing. But it's a lovely smelling beer, this one, and kind of what you would expect for a kind of amber lager from this Franconia region. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. I'm having to shout a bit now because it's getting a little bit loud. So yeah, let's have a taste of this one. This is the Bamberg, the Keesmann Sternla lager. Not sure exactly what percentage it is, but it will be somewhere in the region of 5%. It doesn't say on the menu. That's one complaint I would have. They need to tell you what percentage and stuff these beers are on the menu. But yeah, let's have a taste of the Keesmann Sternla. Let's look at this. Ooh, that's nice. That is nice. So yeah, it's quite it's got a really good balance between the kind of slightly wholemeal brown bready sort of things, and also a good little bit of that slightly caramelly biscuity type. I really like how this one goes about its business. Absolutely. Yeah, this is very, very nice. Let's break this down for you then. So the backbone of this beer, it's a little bit bread crusty. It's got a little bit of woody character in there as well. On top of that, you've got a layer of a kind of wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. Further back on the palate, it gets a wee bit more sort of grainy. You do get the more kind of grainy character out of the bread a little bit later on. But in the middle third of your palate, this is where you kind of get the sweetness. But I would say that even for a beer that's quite amber, I mean, for me, the colour of this beer is actually quite akin to some of these, you know, West Coast IPAs, West Coast double IPAs that we've seen on the channel over the years. This one is really more bready rather than anything else, so it's quite interesting. I do wonder, maybe they've used a little bit of caramel or Vienna malt or something like that in this one. I would love to see the malt bill and the hoppy side of things for this. But yeah, in the middle of your palate, there's a little circle there, so you get a bit of that McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. In the dead centre of your palate, you can feel it's a little bit more kind of concentrated and brown sugary. But yeah, I really like how this goes together. It's got a lovely note to it. But yeah, this is quite a bready amber lager, this one for me. Yeah, it's interesting because Stern, if I remember right, I'm not sure if Sternla is something different, but Stern in German, of course, is like star. So yeah, not sure about this. It doesn't actually tell you so much about the history of this brewery here. We have covered it on the channel before, but the thing you can see here is that this brewery was founded in 1867. So this one is quite a bit younger than some of the other ones we've had. For example, Brauerei Festa and Spezial. Those two breweries are quite a bit older than Brauerei Keesmann, but the beer here is obviously still very, very nice. Yeah, so I think we've covered everything we need to say about the malty side of this beer. Like I say, it's a bit more woody and grainy into the aftertaste. Let's focus on the hoppy side of things. Yeah, so hoppy side of things. back corners of the palate, it's a little bit earthy, but again, that's quite smooth. As you come further forward, it's a little bit herbal. As you reach the front corners of the palate, it does show a little bit floral aromaticity, but nowhere near as much as the RampantLions did. This one is a little bit more mild in its floral note. Round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and grassy. It shows you a wee bit of zestiness, but it's really quite smooth. Fruity side of the beer. Yeah, fruity side of this beer for me is a little bit more wet, so there's a wee bit of a kind of smooth bready thing underneath this one. You've got a little bit of that kind of sultana, white green grapey sort of thing. But this beer is much more kind of oily and peary for me. You've got this lovely kind of oily peary type note to it. But when you move further forward, there's a wee bit of a kind of zesty. You do get a little bit of a kind of appley note out of it, which is interesting. But yeah, a little bit of sultana underneath, maybe a little bit of a dried pear underneath, but then quite an oily peary character for me. Then just a wee touch of lime mixing in with all these grassy notes. In terms of mouthfeel, this one, it's top end light bodied, the carbonation is quite crisp, and then you've also got just that nice little bit of wet fruitiness to it. But yeah, this is quite a bready amber lager. This one is, as I say, it just says it's lager beer. It doesn't say whether it's a Märzen or exactly what it is. But yeah, I do like this one, so I think we can leave it at that. This one is the Keesmann Sternla lager. I'm guessing around, I think this is maybe a bit stronger, maybe like 5.5, 6%, something like that. But this is another very nice beer. They do have two others on tap, so I think we'll do some small ones of these. I'll need to make sure I ask for the small, because I love the German beer, but the big volumes of beer that you drink here is just insane. So let's leave it at that for this one. I'll catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so a little quick look at the menu here then. So we'll start off with the beer. As you can see in here, you can get 0.25 and 0.5. They have the Herrenpils, they have the Sternlager, Keesmann Hell, and they have the Josevi Bock from the Fastenzeit. So yeah, this is like an Easter time beer. I'm not sure if they'll have that, but yeah, as you can see, €2.30 to €2.90 for a 0.25, and then it's about €3.40 for a half litre. So yeah, that's about, you know, £3 sterling, $4 American, yeah, 34 Swedish kroner. So yeah, pretty good value. You always get good value for your beer here in Germany. But yeah, there you can see they've also got a beer in the bottle, which is the Keesmann Weiss. That could be interesting to try. But yeah, they've got a few other things, some alcohol-free beers, a Radler, you know, some soft drinks as well, apple saft, orange saft, these kind of things, limonades. Yeah, pretty good. But yeah, they've got some local wine and stuff like this as well, some liqueurs, kind of interesting. But yeah, little look at the food menu then. So there's some interesting things here. So yeah, they've got some rump steak, which is interesting, cordon bleu, which I'm very tempted to try. We'll need to see. The Rotbasfilet, Kartoffelsalat, that's always quite nice too. Dunkelbiersalze, this is one of my favourite things. I love Dunkelbiersalze in Germany. So yeah, a few Berliner Art, I think schnitzels as well. Really nice. But again, remember, €10 is about $12 American. You know, about £9 sterling, something like that. They've got currywurst here as well. Quite a nice menu actually. My German's a little bit rusty to translate all of these things for you, but it is a very kind of traditional Franconian menu, this, but very reasonably priced, I have to say. So there you go, there's your little look at the Brauerei Keesmann menu. Alright guys, so yeah, my food came and it wasn't quite what I expected, but it does look pretty awesome. So basically this is like schnitzel meat in a dark beer sauce, which I'm sure I'm going to enjoy. And then they've got this kartoffel puree, like how would you say, like potato puree sort of thing that looks a little bit like a soup. So yeah, it's the Braumeister Bierfleisch, I think they called this, with kartoffel puree. So this should be really interesting, but looks very nice. Let's get stuck in. Alright guys, well let's take a little look at the food then. So I think first off, we'll start with the kartoffel puree. This looks quite interesting to me. So yeah, when you look at it, it actually is kind of funny. It looks a little bit like kind of baby food or something. But that's very, very nice. It's like really creamy potato. That's lovely. That really is very nice. We put a little bit of dark beer sauce and a wee bit of the potato. That's really, really nice. It's like, it is just literally like mashed potato, but properly pureed into an almost kind of soup form. That's lovely. I'm probably going to end up piling that into the sauce and just mixing it up and enjoying it. But yeah, that's really, really nice. Just a really creamy, very slightly peppery potato. Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I should point out as well, if my mouth looks a little bit funny, I have like a massive ulcer in here at the moment, so I'm actually in quite a little bit of pain when I eat stuff. But you know, about getting, you know, you can't turn down the chance to come to Keesmann here in Bamberg. So it was a case of, you know, I really want to go here, let's do it. So I had a little bit of pain on this side of the mouth. You should see the size of this ulcer, by the way. It's fucking horrible. But yeah, this kartoffel puree makes it really nice. Makes it worth it. Right, let's have a wee look at the schnitzel meat itself. So let's do this. We'll get rid of the onions. I'm not a great fan of onions. Yeah, never liked them. My mum used to put onions on everything when I was younger, so just never been a great fan. But yeah, let's have a little look at this meat and see what it's all about. That's really nice. It is literally just a schnitzel without the kind of bread coating, and it's in this dark beer sauce. It's absolutely lovely. It's very kind of herbally. I can't place exactly what herb it is. It probably does say in the menu, but yeah, let me just show you this. You can see that a little bit. It's got the sauce on it, these little herbs. It looks really, really good. And it tastes very good as well. Beautiful meat this, it tastes lovely. Really like a herbal. I think this is probably veal, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it is like a Wiener Schnitzel basically without the coating and stuff, but it tastes really nice. And I mean, the dark beer sauce, I'm never sure in German if you say Salz or Soße, I really don't know. But yeah, so we'll take a big dip of the potato, shake the bottom off, put that in. And if you do that, it's awesome. The other thing you can get in some of these brew pubs is the potato dumplings, and those are absolutely lovely. If you get a potato dumpling in some of this dark beer sauce, it's awesome. It really is very nice. I'm going to enjoy this, definitely. So let's leave it at that for the food part, and we have another beer to try as well, so let's do this. Alright guys, so time for our third tasting then here at Brauerei Keesmann. So yeah, for the third one, we are going to have a little look at the Helles. So yeah, this is a 250ml, by the way, I should point this out. Having drunk a litre of beer already, you know, half a litre of the Herrenpils and then half a litre of the Sternler, I thought it was time to just go a little bit smaller. I love these German beers, but you know, drinking big volumes is just something I'm not so much into. Yeah, I would prefer, you know, I'd quite happily have like, you know, 4 of these little 250s and taste lots of different ones. That's kind of how I like to do it. I like to taste different beers. But yeah, anyway, so as you can see, this one's come in a little nice stein, which I really like. When it poured, it had about a finger and a half of a frothy, I would say, cream-coloured head. In terms of what you would expect from a Helles beer, from appearance, it looks very nice. You can see this one, it has a little bit of natural haze to it with my fingers behind the glass. I think this one is filtered as well, but I think you're getting a little bit of the haze from the condensation. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there. But yeah, in terms of what you'd expect from a Helles beer, very nice. Remember, once again, this is a lager beer. Yeah, lovely kind of pale golden straw colour. exactly what you'd want. So let's have a little look at the aroma of this one and see what we get. Yeah. That's really nice. What I'm going to say straight away about this one is that the white bread is a lot more prominent in this one than it was in the other beers that we tried. Yeah. So straight away with this one, you get a little bit of a bread crusty base to it. There's a little bit of that kind of cream crackery sort of thing. Then on top of that, lots of fresh, kind of fluffy white bread. Absolutely. I always say this in my German reviews that I do. I love German bakeries, and there's just something about the bread. But you can also get it in these kind of these beers that are based on pale malt. They're just absolutely lovely. Yeah, aroma-wise, this is very, very nice. Yeah, on top of the white bread, then I think there's a little touch of like a McVitie's digestive biscuit sort of thing. But yeah, not overly much, I would say. It's quite nice and quite relaxed, I would say, this one. Just a little tiny touch of, yeah, McVitie's digestive biscuity sweetness. Everything you would want from the style in terms of the malty base. In terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the nose, I would say it's a little bit of a smooth earthy note. There is a wee bit of herbal character to this one, but quite a nice bright floral character, and you're also getting some zesty grassiness out of this too. Again, everything you would want from the style. I am wondering though if I should have tried this one after the Pils and then done the Schnerla a little bit later. But yeah, this does smell very, very nice for sure. Yeah, other than that though, as I say, I don't think there's too much to say about the malty side of things. It's quite white bready, it's quite crackery. I really like it. On the hoppy side of things, we've discovered that already. On the fruity side of the beer, I would say, you know, it's got a little bit of a kind of, it does have a wee bit of that kind of peary sort of thing to it. There's a little bit of a sort of kind of gooseberry type vibe to it as well. It's also got a wee bit of that kind of bright appley sort of thing. So yeah, a little bit of a peary note, a little bit of an appley sort of thing, and also a wee bit of gooseberry. I really like how that goes together in this one. Yeah, fruity side of this beer, very nice, very fresh, exactly as you would expect. But yeah, the hop, the green component of the hop in this one for me leans towards quite a bright, zesty, grassy sort of note. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go. So this one is the Helles beer, the blue label, if we can call it that, from Brauerei Keesmann here in Bamberg. Beer number 3. Sláinte, skål, cheers, prost. Yeah, this is really nice, very, very smooth. I like this beer actually. This is quite different actually from the ones that we've had before. You can really taste the difference in this one between the Helles and the. You can really taste the difference with this one between the Helles and the lighter lager beers and the Pilsner, of course. This one's got a lovely big, kind of almost creamy breadiness to it. I really like that about this beer. Yeah, this is nice. This is very, very good. Yeah, but it's exactly as you would expect for the style, but it feels a little bit cleaner and a little bit wetter. So yeah, backbone of this beer, it's got a lovely kind of, as you would say, it's got a lovely little bit of bread crust to it. You've got a wee bit of that kind of Jacob's cream cracker, like smooth sort of vibe to it. It's really, really nice. Yeah, aroma-wise, this one I think is. I mean, on the malty side of things, it's really, really smooth. So yeah, a little bit of bread crust. So we say soft white bread, bit of Jacob's cream cracker in that. You can feel it gets a bit more yeasty towards the back of the palate too. But the further you go into the aftertaste with it, it does develop just a little bit of a kind of, you know, McVitie's digestive biscuity sweetness. It does get this, but it's not as sweet as the Pils was, and it's not as sweet as the Schnerla was. This is definitely a more kind of bready offering. So yeah, I really like this one. Yeah, I love a good Helles beer, and this is very, very nice. It feels it's like a very clean but still really bready Helles actually. Yeah, I do like this. Let's focus on the hoppy side of the beer then. So Back corners of the palate, it's a little bit earthy. As you move further forward, it's a little bit more herbal. As you reach the front corners of the tongue, it's a little bit more kind of floral. And then around the front curve of the palate, a little bit lighter and grassy. But what I would say about this beer is that the hoppy side of it is quite wet. I find that, it has a nice little bit of zestiness on the grassy side of things, but the floral side of it is quite wet, to be honest with you. But as I say, it's a really nice and smooth but very clean Helles beer, this one. I like it, but I think I should have had this, I do think, just on the flavour profile, I should have tried this one before the Sternla. So yeah, let's focus on the fruity side of the beer then to round off. It's kind of what I picked up in the aroma, so you've got a little bit of that kind of sultana, white, green, grapey sort of thing. There's a wee touch of like an oily pear to it, but I get a lot of gooseberry out of this one. It's quite a nice light gooseberry character you get. And further into the aftertaste, you can feel it gives you a little bit more of a dried fruity character, so maybe there's like a teeny little bit of dried apricot, stuff like that. But yeah, sultana, dried white, green, grape, a little bit of an oily pear, a little bit of gooseberry, and yeah, I think that beyond that it kind of mixes in with the sort of grassy esters. But as I say, my impression of this one is a really nice, clean, and slightly oily Helles beer actually. I think this is interesting for sure. Mouthfeel wise, yeah, for me, top end of light bodied, smooth carbonation, a little bit oily and slick. In terms of IBUs, I think it's maybe like 20, something like that. Not gonna, it's not gonna blow the head off you in terms of bitterness. The malt base is really nice, a little bit grainy, very smooth, a little bit sweet, and then you've just got this nice wet fruity character to it as well. In terms of what you would expect from a German Helles of any description, be it Munich, Dortmund or whatever, this one is really nice. And it's interesting because for me this shows you a little bit of hoppy bitterness in the aftertaste, but otherwise the malty side of it's really smooth. So, and yeah, if you think about, Munich Helles, they tend to be a little bit more bready. The Dortmund Helles tends to be a little bit more hoppy. We're almost like right in the middle of the two places. So this one has a little bit of both. That's an interesting point to think about. But yeah, very nice Helles beer, this one. So if you see the blue label, Keesmann beer, this one I think you are going to enjoy too. But of course, their signature beer is the Herrenpils. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This is the Keesmann Helles. There you go, we've got one more beer to try and that'll be us finished with this little outing here to Keesmann Bräu. So yeah guys, we've just been filming the Herrenpils and there's a little tripod, but yeah, just a little look around the room. This is pretty awesome. Again, it's quite similar to what we've seen already. Really nice, just very Franconian style room here. This is very, very cool. I like it. So yeah, this is the inside of Keesmann Brauerei in Bamberg. Alright guys, so our last tasting then here at Keesmann is going to be a little bit of a special beer, the Josefi Bock, which is their Fasten beer. So this is, I guess you could say in English, it's a Lent beer, but yeah, this is a kind of Easter beer, could we say. But the Bock is a style I very much enjoy, and just looking at the bottle, I think it's going to be more of a kind of light Bock rather than a full Doppelbock. But let's take a look at this. Alright guys, so time for our fourth and final beer tasting then here at Brauerei Keesmann. So our last beer is actually coming from a bottle. I didn't quite expect that. But yeah, this one is the Keesmann Josefi Bock. It comes in at 6.9% ABV and it's going to be some kind of Bock lager beer. So yeah, remember the story of the Bock beers is that they come from the town of Einbeck. I'm not sure if that is Bavaria or if it's a little bit further north, but basically the Einbeckers took their beer to Munich and the Münchners kind of made fun of their accent a little bit, because when they said it's like an Einbecker beer, it sounded like Bock, and Bock of course is the German word for a goat. So yeah, this is why on many different kinds of Doppelbocks and things like that you see little goats. But yeah, the Josefi Bock, 6.9% ABV. Just by the looks of it, I think this is going to be a little bit more like a kind of Maibock or something like that. But yeah, didn't expect to get this one in the bottle, but there you go. So they also brought me this little kind of Teku sniffer glass, this is getting more common in Germany. I was surprised that this was given to me, but still pretty cool. So let's have a wee look at this beer and see what we get. So you can see this is Pretty awesome actually. Look at this lovely rich amber colour. You pour the full thing, there you go. That's a nice pour, that is a nice pour. So yeah, as you can see with this one then, it's poured 2 fingers, frothy, kind of cream coloured head. Has got a little bit of a kind of tint to it for sure, but this is a really nice rich amber colour. You can see lovely crystal clear, a few big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom there, but you know, lovely crystal clear beer. In terms of what you would expect from a bock beer, there are many different kinds of bocks. You have Heller bocks, you have Maibocks, Doppelbocks, all of this. This one to me looks a little bit like a Maibock or a Heller bock, but yeah, remember, the colour of your beer depends on the kinds of malts that you use, the length of your wort boil, any adjuncts you put in, any barrel aging that you do. But with this one, I would suspect that the bock beer tends to be a little bit more kind of caramelly and biscuity. So it's not a surprise that you're getting this really rich amber colour out of it. If we compare this to the American styles of craft beer, colour-wise, it's a bit like a kind of West Coast double IPA. So yeah, it looks really, really nice. But in terms of what you would expect from a bock lager beer, remember these are lager beers, bottom fermented, cold temperature fermentations. It's kind of what you'd expect, and you can see it is crystal clear, so it is a filtered beer, this one. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else we need to say about the appearance, so let's have a wee look at the aroma and see what we get. Yeah, so for me, malty backbone of this one, a little bit of a bread crusty note to it. Again, you've got that smooth German bready note. Yeah, a little bit of bread crust, smooth bread. It's a mix of white bread and kind of wholemeal brown bread you get from this one. For a bock beer, it's not too brown sugary. Yeah, it's not too brown sugary, this one, to be honest with you. It is more bready than anything else. You get 1 or 2 little crackery, woody notes out of it. But yeah, it's actually quite like the Sternla. The Sternla was very much like a bready beer, and this one's the same. I would have expected a wee bit more sweetness. When it's 6.9%, you would expect a little bit more sweetness out of it. But it still smells really nice. I really think this is going to be like a Hellerbock or a Maibock, I'm sure. But that's the malty base of this one covered. I think the more you smell of it, the sweeter it gets. But on the hoppy side of things, there's a wee bit of earthiness in there. You get a little bit of a herbal note as well. And the green component for me really leans towards a kind of bright grassy sort of thing. It's a little bit floral, a little bit grassy. Yeah, I think it's a really kind of soft grassiness you get out of this, but you get that typical. I've said this in so many of these German videos that I've done recently. German beer is, it can be very crisp, but at the same time it's very, very smooth. And this one smells really clean at the same time, but you still get that typical German smoothness out of it. It's really interesting, but as I say, the more you smell of this, the more brown sugar you get, more biscuit, just a little bit of caramel. Fruity side of things, very oily pear. I actually get a little bit of orange out of this, so I wouldn't be surprised if you have sapphire hop in this one. Sapphire, it's quite a low alpha acid hop, about 3.5%, but it gives you this very orangey note. It could be Mandarina Bavaria, of course, but Mandarina Bavaria I think is a bit more big than that, to be honest with you. So wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of sapphire in here. So yeah, a wee bit of orange, wee bit of pear, a wee bit of a kind of sultana, white green grapey sort of thing. Quite similar profile to the other beers we've had, right enough. But aroma wise it's really nice. Let's taste it then. So yeah, this one is the Josefi Bock, 6.9% ABV, our last beer here at Brauerei Keesmann. Yeah, let's do this. Slange, Skål, Prost. This is a lot sweeter. It's a lot sweeter in its taste than the aroma would have you believe. That's interesting for sure. So yeah, you've got the big breadiness there, absolutely, but it shows you a lot more brown sugar in its flavour, definitely. Yeah, you can taste the booziness in this one as well. So yeah, backbone of the beer, a little bit bread crusty, smooth kind of white bread, wholemeal brown bready sort of thing, absolutely as well. Jacob's cream cracker, that sort of thing. One or two woody notes in the aftertaste too. I wouldn't go as far as nutty, it's more woody and dry. Yeah, more woody and dry. So yeah, bread crusty backbone, white bread, brown bread, a little bit crackery. On top of that you get all the nice brown sugars. It's 6.9%. This is quite heavy for a Frankische, a Franconian beer. But it's still, you know, it's still very smooth and very clean. So there's a bit, in the dead centre of your palate, there's a bit of a straight up caramel. There's a bit of a biscuity sort of thing beyond that. And yeah, it's really nice how it goes together for sure. But yeah, the further you go into the aftertaste, there's a bit more graininess and a wee bit more woodiness to it. In the back half of the palate, you get a slightly thicker brown bready note to it, and just a wee bit more kind of, yeah, just a little bit more graininess actually. But in terms of a bock beer, if I'm comparing this to other ones, it is, as I say, it's a bit more like a Hellerbock or a Maibock, but you could also say it's like a very strong Märzen as well. It's kind of like that. Because if memory serves me correctly, the bock beers are lagers. They're bottom fermented, they're not top fermented. So yeah, it really is very nice and very clean. But yeah, I like this. I do like this beer. Definitely not a Doppelbock. I love the big brown sugary German beers, the Dunkels, the Doppelbocks. This is, yeah, Hellerbock, Maibock sort of thing. So not a style I get to try too often, but I have enjoyed this. Hoppy side of the beer then. Back corners of the palate, it's a wee bit more earthy. As you come further forward, it's a little bit more herbal. As you reach the front corners of the palate, a little bit more floral, but it's quite wet there. Round the front curve of the palate, a little bit wetter and more sort of grassy, but it's quite an oily green component you get from this one. Let's focus on the fruity side of things. Yeah, so fruity side of things, it's a little bit more kind of, again, it's this sort of white, green, grapey sort of thing, sultanas. Big oily peary character this one, but on the front half of that front third of your palate, it's quite orangey. I would not be surprised if this has sapphire hop in it. I would not be surprised if this has a wee bit of sapphire. But yeah, nice big oily character to it for sure. Yeah, I like this. It's a nice bock beer, this one. Like I say, I think it's more of a Hellerbock or a Maibock, something like that, than it is definitely not a Doppelbock. You know, Doppelbocks are big, brown, sugary sort of things, and you can just see from the colour of this, it's not like that. But yeah, a very nice beer regardless. I have enjoyed this. Mouthfeel wise, it's kind of top end to mid-bodied. For me, for a lager beer, it's pretty big and oily. Yeah, for a lager beer, it's quite big and oily for sure. Smooth carbonation, again quite oily and clean. In terms of IBUs, I think it's about 25 IBUs, something like that. Malty side of things, bit grainy, bit smooth, but also a bit sweet. And then it's got a nice big oily fruity character. But yeah, I think that's a good place to round off with this one. Been really cool to try this. Try the Keesmann Fasten beer. So yeah, this one was the Josefi Bock, 6.9% ABV, and this is our last tasting here at Keesmann. So I'll go outside, give you my final thoughts and things, but I hope you've enjoyed another out and about video. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, well that's my time here at Keesmann Bräu done. In total for all those things that I had, the 4 beers and the very nice food, I paid €25, so that is roughly 250 Swedish kroner, about 20 British pounds, and I guess in the region of like 30 American dollars, something like that. But yeah, really nice to come and finally visit Brauerei Keesmann, and yeah, I thoroughly recommend it. They've got a really interesting menu, the beers are really nice, and yeah, you definitely need to try the Herrenpils. This is a lovely, lovely beer. But yeah, come and visit Keesmann Bräu here on Bamberg, here in the sort of southeastern part of central Bamberg. Awesome place. Not going to have time to visit Bräu, unfortunately, on this trip, so this will probably be the last video that you see from Bamberg. But we will be back very, very soon. Catch you guys on the next one. I hope you've enjoyed another out and about video. Check out my social media, check out Keesmann Boy's social media, and I will see you guys on the next one. Slange at school. Cheers.